to my brother. I remember All-Star Game 5 and strong. 59,000 fans looking on. I remember tears at the kid's last game. Stood right behind him as the anthem played. Now my homemade signs got his autograph name on the newspaper cover. First rush to fame. I remember singing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of Expos Talk. My name is Justin Levine, and today I am honored to have on the show longtime columnist for the Toronto Sun, Mr. Bob Elliott. Bob, thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Thanks very much for having me, Justin.
Bob, looking at the way you grew up, for starters, your dad introduced you to the game of baseball back in 1949. However, you later grew to connect more with the statistics side of things. What exactly was it that caught your eye at first glance when you realized that this is what you wanted to get into?
Well, I really liked the game, and I thought it was very, very fair as opposed to, like, we used to watch the Canadians on TV and all the Montreal. I was a Bruins fan, but my father would either watch the Leafs or the Canadians on TV and Saturday nights, and I asked him why Cornwall wasn't playing. He said, "Oh, no, he's playing." He said, "Watch." So I watched, and they had a shadow on him, and the guy for the other team, he was always, on him. And I thought, well, that's not fair. He'd go through the team during the regular season, and then, I got to see football, and they would double team the best football player, the linebacker, the guard, or the tackle, whatever. And in basketball, they'd double team or triple team the best guy. But in baseball, it's like if you're pitching to me, Justin, you get up to your balance point, and nobody's knocking you off balance, and I'm hitting, and I'm swinging the bat, and nobody's grabbing my bat. So I kind of thought it was the fairest game of all. And of course, this was long before the Blue Jays and long before the Expos. And then when the Expos came, it was like tremendous. I think Bill Stillman threw the no-hitter in the first month or so of the season in Philly, and I remember saying to my father, I said, "They might win it." And he said, "No, they won't win it. They're an expansion team."
Bob, from the young age of 17, you were writing about your hometown senior team in Kingston, submitting each piece to the Kingston Whig Standard, and were later offered a job where you earned $100 a season. When exactly did it occur to you that this could lead to a bigger picture as it did?
Well, at the time, I really didn't know. It was just, I just went to the first game of the senior league down at the cricket field in Kingston, and it was about 5 minutes late start, and then the president of the league came up the hill, and there was a bit of a berm in left field there. And, I was with a friend of my father's who was helping him coach. My father coached the team, and he said, "Let's go." Sometimes it's 6:15 game start, and he said, "Well, we don't have a scorekeeper." And so the man I was with, Cliffy Earl, said, "We'll give the book to the kid." I was a kid. I was 15, I guess. And so I had to go sit behind the backstop and score the game. So phone the 2 radio stations, give the results to the TV station, and make up a box score, which I'd never done before, but I'd seen it in the sporting news, so I knew what to do. But I had, I did that for a couple of years, and then I think I finally had a first byline on Biddy basketball. It would have been, it was 50 years ago last April. And then, I don't know, the baseball, I really kind of, myself and another guy shared it in 78, and when we were in Ottawa, and then all of a sudden, I think it was in 80 or 81, the guy just said, "Well, you're doing it all this year," which I thought was great, but at the back end, eventually there were stretches where you became very, very tired. I just knew I loved the game, and I wasn't any good to play it, to tell you the truth, so that was basically it.
Well, it's great that you started at such a young age. Now, looking at the start of your career in journalism back in 1996, that's when you were writing in Kingston, and then you later made a transition to the Ottawa Citizen, where you began covering the Montreal Expos in 1978, starting with the club's home opener at Stade Olympique, which led you to become a regular within the club's press box. How did that opportunity come about?
We didn't always cover, it was a good 2-hour drive. We didn't always cover, we didn't cover the Canadians, but in manager, coaches, broadcasters, and then writers, and then it was players.
That's quite the change from sitting with the fans like a regular fan yourself, then becoming one of the writers in the press box.
Yeah, we didn't get wet when it rained.
Yeah, isn't that fantastic? In 1987, you moved once more, this time here to Toronto, where you joined the Sun as the Blue Jays beat writer. Looking back on an exquisite career, what did you love most about being involved on an everyday basis with local sports media outlets around the country?
Well, I think the neat thing, I was I don't mind telling you, I was nervous coming here. You know, there was 4 papers covering the team. There was the Globe, there was the Star, there was the Sun, and the Hamilton Spectator, as opposed to when I was covering the Expos, and it was the Gazette and the French papers, and then, you know, I was like the suburban guy that, you know, before the internet, nobody saw the paper very often, although I didn't find out till after I left that Bill Stoneman read it every day, and I think he lived in Hudson, I think. So every day during the season, anyway. So coming up here, it was a little imposing, and but everybody was very, very nice. And you know, Neil McCarl, who had covered, was at the Star, he was very, very helpful when I began. He had covered my father when they went to the Brier in 1960. So he did curling in the wintertime as well as the AAA team before they had Major League Baseball here.
So he was rather familiar with you when you joined the team. Is that right?
Yeah, he was a friend of my father, and he once in a while he came to Kingston to do a Queens football game, and he'd stop by the house or something. So I'd met him before, but he was the only guy I knew, and you know, every paper had 3 writers in those days.
Yeah. On July 1st, 2016, you made the decision to retire following 50 years of coverage. You are Canada's most respected sports writer, and the players have never had a reason not to like you. What did it mean to you to have the chance to engage with so many great guys on a daily basis?
Man, you done some research, kiddo. I would say it was out of all those years going to the ballpark, I maybe had 2 or 3 bad days. It was it wasn't like work, and it wasn't like it would be stressful or whatever, frustrating, you know, like if you're in the airport and, you know, they brought in another new measure of security, or, you know, it used to be you could just show up, and now it's like 2 hours if you're going through the States, and that was a bit of a problem, but I mean, I met some wonderful, wonderful people, and I flew the newspaper sent me to Cuba and Puerto Rico and all over, you know, all 29 other cities to see, or ballparks to see, to watch baseball, which if I was working at a bank or if I was a school teacher, which I probably would have been if I hadn't stumbled into this career, I was very, very, very lucky, you know, like to just stumble into it the way it happened.
That's really incredible, the way you landed in this job and were able to do something like travel to all the ballparks to watch all these teams play. Looking back at 2012, you were a recipient of the J.G. Taylor Spink Award, the highest award given to baseball reporters by the Baseball Writers Association of America. If you can recall this night, what were your thoughts and emotions when you heard your name called upon?
It was at the winter meetings, and Jack O'Connell, the secretary treasurer, he phoned and gave me the news. This was my 4th year on the ballot. I'd been second. So, you know, there's no guarantee. It's not like there's no guarantee you're on for 15 years. This committee says, okay, well, here's 3 guys for next year. So, anyways, I was always put back on, and I think his line was, well, I've been waiting to make this call for a long time. Congratulations. You're the guy. So I said, well, thanks. And then he talked some more, and he said, are you there? And I said, yeah, Jackie, I'm here. I just can't speak. I was kind of a little choked up. I thought about how excited my father would be, and he was gone in 1970, and it would have been my mother 6 months later. They would have been so very proud. So the speech, as you can tell, I'm a mumbler and a stumbler, and I go off on tangents, but the speech went all right because I practiced it 45 times or something, or 35 times, I guess. But it wasn't the 4,500 people in front of me at Doubleday Field. It was the 45 Hall of Famers behind me. That's what made me the most nervous, because they don't like long speeches, and I was sitting in the room before the buses came to take everybody over to Doubleday Field, and I was sitting with Fergie Jenkins and Gaylord Perry, who I'd only met once, said, "What are you here for?" Like real snarky, and I said, "I don't know, I got some award." And so he says, "Well, how long are you talking?" So I kicked Fergie under the chair, and I said, I think I timed it out as slightly a few minutes over 2 hours. And he goes, "Well, you better not be, or we'll be throwing stuff at you." And Juan Marshall was sitting there, and he said, "He'll be throwing wet ones." Because Gaylord always had the spitter, right?
Yes.
So that was very intimidating. But I got through it.
Good. Now, a bit further back, if I may, in 2010, you received the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame's Jack Graney Award for your contributions to the sport in Canada. If I must say so myself, it seems as if you have made a tireless effort to give your best each and every day, and did so with pride and dignity. In 2015, you were inducted into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame in St. Mary's. What does it mean to you as far as your success goes?
Oh, well, thanks very much for the compliments, Justin. I would say what it means is somebody, I think the second time in St. Mary's, somebody asked me what, they had this little press conference, and they said, "What would you be proudest of?" And I said, "Well, my 2 kids," but they said, no, professionally or baseball-wise or whatever. And I never thought of this, but I had that website, the Canadian Baseball Network, and we had 6 guys there writing stories about Felipe Alou and Matt Stairs and Corey Koski and Carlos Delgado. So, and it hit me and I remember when I started, we used to get an intern every summer that would come down to the exhibition stadium or the Sky Dome, and it would always be, "How long before I get to go to the Gardens to cover the Leafs?" Or, "How long before I get to go to the Air Canada Center?" Right? So I think the thing I'd be proudest of is more people want to write about baseball now than in 1987 when I got here, and if I helped with that a little bit, that's a really good thing, that more people are interested in writing and promoting, about all these kids that are playing south of the border, and the pros in the big leagues and the minor leagues.
Speaking of the Canadian Baseball Network, yesterday MLB Network carried the announcement for the 2017 World Baseball Classic, which I believe you did cover for the website. Is that still something that you continue to write on every once in a while?
Yeah, but I must admit I'm too. We've got 4 people we're paying, and one of them was away this week, and so since another guy started a new job, so I was more of an editor this week than a writer, which is, I have to be more disciplined because and write, but we were short-staffed, so I think we had 1, 2, 3 stories. My story went up today, so just the fact that
that's quite funny. Taking a peek at quotes from your retirement made from former general manager Alex Anthopoulos, he said, in a quote, "He's a legend. I don't think there will be anybody like him again. How hard was it to walk away from the game with such comments about the way in which you worked?"
Well, it was quite shocking because I think that was the paper kind of pulled a fast one on me. Friday was supposed to be my last day, so the Yankees win Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday I was flying to Manitoba for a Hall of Fame banquet. So this was all, it wasn't going to be any big deal, right? I wasn't going to be at the park. So Tuesday night I walk in and Batista says, "So what are you writing your last 2 days?" And I said, "Well, you're going to save me tonight. I don't know what I'll do tomorrow." And so we both laughed. And then I walked inside and Simmons was with Gibbons and Mike Runcie from our place. So it was soon out of the bag, and then people kept coming. It was an awful night to write, that night and the next night, because I have a lot of friends in New York and a lot of friends in Toronto. And so, yeah, you know, I managed to get it done. Excuse me. And then Gibbons, I guess Gibbons started off his press conference with a clip or something like saying, he said, "Elliott's retiring, and we'd like to wish him all good luck." So I had not heard of it because I was still upstairs writing. I think that was the night that got really. So now it is the next night, and now this is really the final game of the series and the final night I'm writing. And I get up, 5 o'clock I went on radio in Montreal with Mitch Melnick, and they played it, and I had not heard it, and it was emotional, right? So anyway, then I went to McCowan an hour later, and I was okay because I'd heard it before, but it was a tough 2 days, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure, and people have thought very highly as you heard before you went on with Mitch Melnick, and people really miss you, and thank you for your fantastic work.
No, thank you, Jason. It's been a pleasure.
You've been so connected with the game of baseball over the years, writing books, coaching teams leading Pee Wee and Bantam levels to Canadian Championship in 2007 as well as 2009. What was it like to get a chance to be with kids who shared the same passion with you and doing so on the field with you watching on?
Well, I'm sure it's like anything else. At times it was very, very frustrating. At times it was very, very satisfying. I can think of a catcher I thought was the best catcher I'd ever had, and I don't think he played past grade 11. And then you think a guy phoned me from Columbus 2 weeks ago. Josh Anderson, he plays for Columbus Blue Jackets, I think they're called, and this is in the middle of their winning streak, and the boy, he played for us as a minor bantam and as a bantam, and, you know, he's kind of like an extra guy, and he pitched a little, played, you know, back up infield, back up outfield, and anyways, he went to London, he didn't get drafted, played for the London Knights, and now he's with Columbus, and the guy, you know, I guess he's a big time contributor for them. So, and then we had another little center fielder, Mark Jankowski, who wasn't any bigger than a peanut, and I think he grew 11 inches in grade 11 and grade 12, and Calgary Flames took him in the first round. So I guess as a baseball coach, I was a pretty good hockey coach.
Bob, it has been such a pleasure hearing the stories of such a legendary career which continues to live on as many still look back at a true ambassador of not only baseball itself, but sports journalism in Canada today. Thank you so much, and all the best to you.
Thank you very much.
And that is all we have for this week's edition of Expos Talk. I'm glad to be back, and I'm sure by next week I will have another great guest for you guys to hear. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and stay tuned to my Twitter feed at Jocelyn Levine HBS for announcements of further guests and further news. Thank you again very much.